All right. Welcome to another episode of Take File. The NBA season, the NBA playoffs are over. The finals are done. Kaput. We are in the liminal space before or after Nikola Jokic has hoisted the Finals MVP trophy, which he left behind.
Yeah.
And
Disrespectful.
and before Adam Silver announces the John Morant public execution. But we'll start with the finals. General takeaways, like what were some thoughts coming out of these finals?
I mean, I feel like after game one, it was just kind of writing on the wall at that point. They couldn't really run the silly shit that they did against the Heat. Couldn't really run the silly shit they did against Boston against them. Jokic was really the zone stopper. Like, you can't really try to do all that fun defensive stuff against the Nuggets when they're coached by Mike Malone and they're so kind of efficient moving the ball, and they just have the ability to get everyone involved like that. There wasn't really much, I felt like. Besides maybe shooting better, obviously they shot really poorly. There wasn't really much the Heat could really do there.
Yeah. The Heat, they really didn't have a second option. Bam kind of just carried them in the finals, and some people just didn't show up.
Just say Jimmy. We know you want to say Jimmy. Just say Jimmy.
Should I just go? I mean,
just go.
A real superstar would be getting dogged right now if they averaged 21 points in the finals.
Oh my God.
A real superstar wouldn't be getting pats on the back for making the finals.
This man went through the gauntlet. To get there.
This man won one series that impressed me this playoffs. And that's the Boston one, which he almost choked harder than anyone's ever choked before.
He didn't, though.
I don't know. Here, just let me give you Jimmy's final stats. 1 in 4, 21 points per game on 41% shooting. Yikes. Elimination game, and you shoot 27%. Also had 10 points when the game was over and got that 3-pointer foul, which should have been a flagrant one. You remember where he kicked him in the dick?
Yeah, he kicked him.
Yeah, well, Aaron Gordon's nuts fouled him, bro.
Yeah, Carl Anthony
Watch
Towns
your nuts,
suggested.
Yeah, tuck him in.
He'll never be the best player in a championship team. He'll never be the second best player in a championship team. I'd be surprised if he ever makes it out of the second round again. I think it's only down from here unless they start treating him as a third option. Yeah.
I know it's always hating hours, but goddamn, the amount of hate you have been throwing at this man, Jimmy Butler, for the past 4
What kind
weeks
of best player?
is insane. I'm not talking.
Best player on any team in the playoffs. If they did that in the finals, First Take would lead with it and being Jason Tatum, biggest choker, finals history.
He didn't show up in the finals, but he should not have been there in the first place. They almost lost to the Bulls in that last play-in game, Mike.
He's
They're
been
the
terrible
8th
all
seed
season.
coming out. What do you mean he's been terrible all season?
He was in the play-in game, almost got
He
eliminated.
has not been terrible all season. The team hasn't been great, but he had been excellent the 3 weeks before the finals started. He had been. That is just what he had been.
Yeah, except for the 2 weeks where they lost 3 out of 4 games.
He had a typical Jimmy Butler season, I think, where he was sort of middling, and then he really turned it up in the weeks to go, and then turned it on in the playoffs, and then couldn't get over the hump when it mattered most.
He got gassed. Look at his supporting cast around him in fucking Miami.
Arguably, his supporting cast kind of carried him. Towards I'll admit the Milwaukee series, he carried that team absolutely.
In the Knicks series, he also carried that team.
The Knicks
first
series,
3 games,
they played well.
the first 3 games of that Boston series, he also carried that team. Guys show
No,
up for
not fair. Not fair.
those first
Gabe
3 games.
Vincent,
Yeah,
Caleb
Gabe
Martin.
Vincent played well in the
He
game
did
they
not
lost
carry
and then
them.
the game that
No.
they won.
Anyway, look, like, he's a good playoff performer. I think I do agree with Ike in the end that I'm not sure if he's going to be able to be a first option on a championship team, considering the talent that's out there right now. They weren't really close in this series, as you mentioned, Mike.
We're not.
Yeah, moving on from Jimmy, if that's okay, Ike.
Yeah, for now.
I have a takeaway, and this may be a little controversial, but this is a little zag from the conventional saying, defense wins championships. No. Offense wins championships. That Denver offense was better than, like, I don't know. The in terms of, like, what I was looking at, it felt like the Denver offense was more high powered than anything I've seen since, like, the 2017 Warriors.
I
And
Sorry,
I think, like, every time down the floor, even in that game 5, like, they were missing a ton of shots, but they were really good shots, right? Like, they all those threes that they missed
The
were
Heat,
still open.
you knew when
you know?
they were dead when it was like the third quarter and the Nuggets had made like 2 threes and they were like down 5 points or something.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
it didn't matter because their players just had the ability to take it down low, like, pound it inside. Like, it was pretty evident just off the rip in game 1 when Aaron Gordon started scoring like 12 straight points in the first quarter that this Heat team is just too small for the Nuggets. And it's sort of fitting that it all sort of came to a close with a Bruce Brown, like, offensive rebound when they're just getting killed on the glass all series, and that was a contributing factor. But what's up, Mike?
I agree with you in a lot of ways. Like, Mike Malone's offense all year has been astonishing, right? And that's, like, the way he draws up sets is fantastic. But something that I do think, they held the Heat to under 100 points in every game that they won. Like, their defense, I think, played very well in a way that I did not really anticipate them to play. They were way bigger, way stronger than this Heat team. And, like, I don't know why it was shocking to me to see when you really kind of put them side by side. Like, this Heat team, like, your center is like, what, 6'10", like, on a good day, right? Like, I don't know why I thought anything different might happen, but they just exploited their Heat's weaknesses so easily. Like, and everyone's saying, oh, they missed all these shots, like, their shooters didn't show up, but they're put in the position where they had to shoot so many threes because Jimmy and Bam couldn't just do what they wanted inside, and I think that was so pivotal to their success, like, defensively.
Yeah, the way they were able to sort of, like, do adequate help to Jimmy Butler, like, and I thought Aaron Gordon did a wonderful job on him.
Yeah, he did well on everyone.
He had a fantastic series.
Playoffs.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and even with MPJ just turning into a absolute shell of himself and, like, chugging up nonsense.
But he kept shooting, though. He kept shooting.
There's no chance, right? I was like, that was hilarious. I mean, credit to him, he was, like, crashing the boards, he was, like, going after it. And, like, yeah, and, like, other than a few moments, I actually thought he had, like, a really good offensive playoffs, defensive playoffs,
Sure.
considering, like, where he was at last year defensively. But yeah, it was pretty funny how it was like the ball would find him, and he'd be like, "Oh, step back, hey."
Step back to one of the most insane layups you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like brick. Another takeaway, and this is something that we talked about a little bit last episode as well, but zone done properly can work, I think. I think it greatly extended that team's like ability. I mean, sure, Spoelstra, is like a really is a mastermind, Then again, like I think that they were able to hide not as talented defenders like Duncan Robinson, and although like what?
They're the all-white. They're just the all-white AAU team who shows up with a bunch of shooters, dude. No one's really there to play defense. They sit in a 2-3 zone.
They got Bam.
Sure, they have Bam and Jamie. Everyone else around, they're just kind of sitting there waiting to try to make something happen on offense and hope that someone makes a mistake against them. But when you have a team like the Nuggets, like you shoot, that's my issue with zone defenses, right? If you have a good offensive team, it's going to beat the best zones. Like no matter what, a good offense against a great zone is still going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is something to be said, though, of that strategy to hide lesser defenders within a zone that some teams should really take a look at, because there are a lot of players in the league that are great offensive players that demand playing time, but really just are going to get exploited on defense. The Jordan Pooles, like
Jimmy Butler.
You have to let this go. You have got to let it go. This Jimmy Butler hate, dude. It was like 4 years ago at this point when it happened.
Well, settle down. He just had one of the worst superstar performances in the finals history.
Move on. You have Ant. You're
no,
in the playoffs.
That's horrible. Oh. That's horrible. Horrible.
It was bad. And I agree with that. Like, he should be, held accountable for it.
Slander implies there's some sort of lie, but yeah, he should be getting ravaged. And this is not a dog.
And I think that there's a community of media members and players and former players that are sort of scared of him.
Yeah, you got playoffs, Jimmy, and you got finals, Jimmy. Two different people. Fine.
Let's see what else I have.
I'm sure you're thrilled that you went with Cat. Those finals, Cat
wasn't the decision, but continue, Sam.
I think looking forward, I think the discrediting is going to start. It's already started.
Starts here.
This Nuggets run.
Oh. Save Jimmy.
Get over it.
Starts now, Sam.
So I mean, it was the 8th seed Wolves, right, who were still sort of like figuring out their new roster that didn't have a ton of time together. Then it was the Suns, same story. Like KD was out for a long time, only got like a few games under their belt, whatever. Then the Lakers, who were rejuvenated post trade deadline, but again didn't have a full season. And then the Heat, who were just like small and shouldn't have been there in the first place, and just not very good. So it's like, on one hand, it was dominant. On one hand, but on the other hand, that there are those narratives that are going to start popping up.
I think that narrative is so weak. Look, I hate the city of Denver, and I do not like the Nuggets. I despise Mike Malone. The video of him dancing in the locker room made me want to vomit. But you play who's in front of you. You play who's put in front of you, and that's all you can do, right? The Nuggets didn't pick who they played in the playoffs. They played teams that just ended up being way worse than them. And no matter who they played in the West, they were going to kick the shit out of, I think. Like, I don't think any team in the West was going to end up beating them. Like you look across the board, like that Clippers team, that Kings team, that Warriors team. None of those teams are going to match up with Denver. and it was just what it was going to be.
Yeah, I think like it also is annoying that this stuff is being brought out after like the just sort of blatant tinkering that was happening towards the end of the season with a lot of these Western Conference teams because of how close the records were. Like especially the Warriors, you know, they're like, oh, like let's try to play the fucking Kings in the first round, and then you know the Lakers were a good team at that point, and like they showed a lot of things. It wasn't they got swept. You know, I don't think it was an easy sweep. Like I mean, all those games came down to the wire against the Nuggets.
Have you seen the other strange like kind of a couple of tweets I've seen asking if Jamal Murray is the best point guard in the league now?
That's fucking stupid. Why are you saying that?
Yeah,
really classic like NBA Central and the whatnot.
Yeah, I mean Jamal Murray, you know, that's something that I was thinking about as well. Is like how there are 16 game players, you know, and Jamal Murray is totally one of them. Who just like is, I mean, granted he's coming back from injury and stuff. Another 16 game player, Duncan Robinson, after being like put in like cryo sleep for the entire season, like comes out of nowhere.
Shot 30% from 3 all season.
Yeah, like couldn't see the floor, and then Tyler Hero goes down, and then he's like back to like how he was playing in the bubble, which I thought was impressive. You know,
couple stinkers though throughout these playoffs
for sure, but like he's a role player. You know.
True. Yeah.
Right.
What'd you make of the Heat's bluff with Tyler Hero in Game 5?
Oh, the pump fake.
Well, yeah, really, yeah, he's back.
He's back.
He's fine. Yeah.
No, yeah. He's not. I mean, he shouldn't have played.
Yeah.
As far as like path to the finals and like who you play, I have a much bigger gripe with the Eastern Conference. Like, I feel like there were Eastern Conference teams that would have obviously matched up, and I'm not one of those guys like, oh, Celtics would have beat them, oh, Sixers would have beat them, healthy Bucks, maybe, but I think like these Eastern Conference teams, like they got really poorly exposed to not really being as complete as people were kind of putting them out to be. Like they clearly have a lot of big holes in order to be able to fall to such to a team full of undrafted role players, you know, like that's not a great look coming out of the East. Seems like anyone could have probably walked out of the East if that was kind of the case, you know. Obviously, the Heat are well coached, but like I feel like anyone coming out of the West was probably going to end up winning this series.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I think
you're
right. Is like the Celtics just sort of were. I don't know. They were just sort of imploding on themselves.
Yeah, and there is something to be said about playing a 7-game series and then having to play another 7-game series, right, for the Celtics, and then even the Heat having to play a 7-game series after the Nuggets swept the Lakers. Like you're gassed, right? You're gassed. But maybe.
Okay, so on your Bucks point, here's a question: who is better right now, and who is better all time right now? Giannis or Jokic?
Giannis. It's Giannis.
It's Giannis. Yeah.
Giannis.
I mean, right now, I don't know how.
I mean, like, all right, who would I rather have? Are you asking who I'd rather have? Like, moving forward, it's Giannis. Yeah.
Okay, let's take out the age thing. Okay, like let's say they're both the same age. Who would you rather have?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
You'd still rather have Giannis?
Giannis Antetokounmpo, yes.
I think I'd rather have Jokic. I think I would. I think that there's ways to take Giannis out of a game, out of a series.
I think there's ways you maybe could have taken Jokic out of the series though.
How?
I think if they have a bigger, stronger person than Bam Adebayo, I think that might
What about two of them?
could get a little bit better.
So like let's say in some fantasy world like they had like Clint Capella or like or let's just say they had Brooke Lopez on the
Defensive
Heat.
anchor with the
Saying-
6'11" power forward.
Like, you have to get over it. You had
But
that.
the Timberwolves.
Yeah, you had it in the first round. It didn't work.
That's what. No,
But
this is
going
what I'm
forward.
saying too, Mike. It's like sure, Bam is a
I'm
better
saying-
defender
I'm
than like Cat, but like the Lakers tried to do with Hachimura and using AD as the roamer didn't work. Like they lost
I'm
every
saying-
game.
I'm saying a healthy Bucks team is still my favorite in the NBA. I don't think that's a crazy take. I say moving forward, a healthy Bucks team is my favorite to win the final six.
I don't know how much I still believe in Middleton, but
Yeah, he's getting a little old.
yeah, he's looking a bit useless. If Jamal Murray can actually be one of the top 3 or 5 point guards in the NBA, then I'll probably
Lions
take the
are out
Nuggets.
for next year.
Yeah, I think
Oh, for next year's championship,
Yeah.
we'll see,
I'm
man.
gonna guess
So-
the Nuggets are favored.
Nuggets open as favorite, followed closely by Bucks and Celtics at plus 550. Nuggets or plus 500.
Nuggets are plus 500.
Nuggets plus 500. Bucks plus 550.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think I still think the Nuggets would beat the Bucks. It's hard to say, and it'll be interesting to see how they play next year with a new coach, and presumably they'll start doing stuff differently over the course of a game or a series, in a way that Budenholzer refused to.
Yeah.
So that could drastically change things, I think, especially on the defensive end. But the system that is Jokic has been present for a number of years now, and I think it's really reached its apex, obviously, and I don't see how that would change or be slowed down.
I think it's not necessarily him, but also the people around him have to perform at the same levels. I think what the Jamal Murray thing is big. If he gets hurt again, if he slows down, right? I think that the way Jokic plays, the people around him have to also play very well.
Hit open layups and open threes,
Yeah.
that kind of way.
That and also be able to move without the ball very well.
Sure,
Sure.
sure.
In the series, the years before, it got really stagnant when Jokic would just try to get the ball in the middle and move, and no one else is cutting. Right? Obviously, Mike Malone has done a great job. I'm not saying he hasn't, but it's also takes a lot of that kind of role player aspect to propel Jokic further.
Yeah, they got great cutting and shooting role players with
Absolutely.
KCP, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys.
Right? And
really,
I'm a big
really
Aaron
good.
Gordon guy, but I think this is by far the best he's played in years. Right? I think it's hard to say that all these guys are going to duplicate the same level of success they had this season.
Did you see that Athletic article where it was about Aaron Gordon, where it's finally someone figured out how to use Aaron Gordon, and it was just play with Jokic. Don't play on the Magic.
I know. It's let him fly.
Get out of Orlando.
It was
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, I agree that Aaron Gordon is being used in the best way possible, but that's because he's not capable of being a fucking ISO scorer. That's just not. He's not that caliber of player.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
One last thing. I have one last gripe with the city of Denver. I lived there for 4 fucking years. No one gave a damn about the Denver Nuggets in those 4 years when they were bad and they weren't winning games, and you have fucking Russell Westbrook hitting step back threes over you to break the fucking triple double record, right? People were there all wearing Russell Westbrook stuff, more Thunder fans in Denver than there were Nuggets fans that day. And then all of a sudden, you see the streets packed, people crying on Instagram stories like, "Oh, the happiest day of my life," yada yada yada. And this might be more of a gripe with the NBA and smaller market teams because Denver is a small market. But I think the NBA, and this, yeah, probably more of a gripe with the NBA. The NBA needs to give these like more average, like kind of 1 in 25 year span teams more to play for, and I think it also kind of fits Minnesota. It's like they're like you're not gonna get that kind of like happiness, you're not gonna get that kind of success. So like what is keeping like these fans caring, obviously, right? It's like how do you sustain fan engagement and stuff like that without having a championship team? Because the way the NBA is moving with these like players like Kevin Durant and stuff like that, just moving to whatever city they want to go to. How are you going to build in small markets? Other than being able to draft a 7 foot point guard out of Serbia, that's not something everyone can really do. So what can be done to really sustain these smaller franchises that are just borderline or below borderline from this kind of their fans just kind of giving up and jumping ship? Because being someone who works with middle schoolers, they don't give a fuck about the Wolves. Like they don't care. Like I don't. No kid at my school is a Wolves fan. They all love basketball, but they don't like the Wolves. They just like whatever team's good or whatever team they like the players on. So how do you build a sustainable model for fans in systems like this? When it's all championship or bust. And I have an answer. They introduce relegation. I think that would be fun. Yes. Throw relegation.
No better way to get the fans into the team than getting relegated.
What's more electric than your team staying alive, staying in the top flight of basketball?
So
they're
then
at what?
Hold on, you do away with the draft then?
Fuck. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. You do
that
away
would just
with the
fuck
draft.
Small markets over more.
All right, it's a work in progress. We're at what?
One critique also.
Yeah.
Literally every team could have drafted a 7 foot point guard out of Serbia.
Again, he's a unicorn, right? Like no one believed it until they saw it, except for that one guy in the Denver front office.
You talking about Tim Conley?
Yeah.
Him?
Yeah. Sigh.
But yeah, I digress. Like there's no answer to it.
I think there is a large contingent of NBA fans that are getting sick of like the Lakers and the Knicks being on national TV, regardless of how good they are every year for like half the fucking games, And they've been a little bit better about it. You still see a lot of Bucks games on ESPN, TNT, and stuff. But I think you're right in that they have to have more concerted efforts towards the localized fan bases, because there's so much of that in other sports, with the NFL or maybe in baseball. Like there's a lot of local stuff that's happening with it, and the NBA feels very global, and national.
Not being able to watch your team play because of cable subscriptions or because you didn't sell enough tickets, that's not helping your fan base grow,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, that needs to be out the window.
Yeah.
They are doing the new CBA, and I think they're making it way harder to get more than 2 superstars. So that'll probably help.
I thought it was the other way. I thought it was their...
No, I think they're making it more strict. You can pay 2 guys, and then I think it's a lot harder.
Yeah, it's much more restrictive to get like 3 max guys on a team. But we'll go into that in our next segment. We're gonna take a little break. Okay. So okay, that's a little better. Getting into some breaking news. So today, Shams Charania announced that Bradley Beal and the Wizards would work on some sort of mutually beneficial deal if the Wizards decide to move in the direction of a full rebuild, essentially. I don't exactly remember what the exact verbiage was, but basically it's sort of indicating that Beal is okay with going out, which wasn't necessarily the case before, I think. I think the consensus was that he was sort of content. His family's in DC, whatever. And he's like making a ton of money and he's chilling. But it sort of changes things. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, Bradley Beal's just dog walking this franchise. Like, they pay him 5-year, like $235 million contract, and then he's just able to leave. Like, they made a decision that they were going to be mediocre, for that time being, and they gave him like the lifetime achievement award for being in DC in 2012, being drafted there, whatever. Like, now you're kind of stuck with that. I don't know what kind of deals you can make to send him anywhere, because that's so much goddamn money for a guy who's not all that great and not going to like make any teams all that much better. Like, I don't think you put him on any one of these like teams that didn't win the finals and they're going to be like, then they would have had a better chance this year. I don't think he would have been the difference maker for anybody.
Ike wasn't.
I think he would have helped a lot. The Heat, I mean, the team he's being rumored to, I think that would have helped them a lot.
I don't know
But
what.
I think he is a max player. Like, when he signed his contract, probably wavering now, but probably still is.
The problem with that is that there's a huge difference between a max player, which I think he was at the time, and a super max player, which and so there's not a ton of these guys,
Yeah, but if you're the
it's-
Wizards at that time, like, and you don't give him the biggest contract possible, like, you look pretty incompetent. Like, you have to get.
He only plays like 45 games a year.
Yeah,
He's done
I
that for the
think
past,
He averaged
3
like
years.
30
Like,
points a game back then.
but he doesn't play that much. Like, I
yeah,
don't
and they
know
never
what-
were like good in the playoffs. I don't think that they needed to, like, we'll see what happens with Jaylen Brown. I don't think the Celtics should give him the supermax now that he's made an all NBA team. I don't think they should, especially with the new CBA. But they probably will, just to prevent him from leaving, and that, like, that's the whole incentive structure behind it. I don't think
Isn't that like enough? Like, it's worth it because he's still on your team, and like that gives you your best shot at a championship.
Past 2 years, Bradley Beal, he's averaged 45 games. He's averaged 23, 4, and 5.
We're talking about Jaylen Brown.
I thought I know right now, but I thought the whole conversation is what Bradley Beal is like worth.
25 points a game is nothing to scoff at.
You're just yelling at Jimmy Butler for only getting 21.
In the finals,
You're
that's a
just-
superstar, playoff Jimmy.
He's on the Supermax contract.
Mr.
though.
Dog.
Oh, Jimmy Butler's not on a supermax. If
And I'm saying Bradley Beal would be on. Isn't that Supermax?
Bradley Beal's on the supermax, yeah.
So if he's only getting you 23, 4, and 5, is that worth the Supermax?
No, that's terrible. Like,
That's
and
what I'm saying.
they're also not going to be better than the 11th seed. Like, it's awful. And I think this is where you're wrong, Mike. Is that he's not doing them a solid by sticking around.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's their
Oh,
fault
okay.
that they made this deal. Like it's their fault, so they have to stick. They have to sleep in the bed that they made. Like I don't think anyone. I don't know why anyone would want him. Why would
No,
anyone want that?
no, they should get out of this. They should.
How? Like I'm saying, why would anyone trade for him? Why would anyone go out and get and trade for him?
Okay, well, here's an idea. Like, let's move on from the Heat, whatever. Like, the fit basketball wise might be like a little weird with like Butler and him are sort of similar players, whatever. If James Harden indeed does go to Houston or elsewhere during the offseason, which I think there's a good chance of, I don't know if he's going to stick around in Philly. Then would the Sixers be inclined to put together some sort of package for Beal?
But the thing is, the money is my biggest thing. He's still on that supermax contract. He still has 4 more years on that contract. This guy averaged 45 games a year. He's getting 20. Don't that's worth a trade that you're gonna make. Like I don't think he like that's just a lot of money that's going to be going. You're going to be flushing down the toilet on someone who's not like I don't think is putting in the numbers to be able to afford that. I think the Wizards made a bad decision signing him, right, to that contract, to that deal, and I don't know why anyone else would want to take over that look.
Because like there's pressure in various situations to win now. Like Joel
If you lose
Embiid,
Harden for
if Embiid like can't get past, you know, like let's say Embiid loses in the first round next year, and they didn't get Beal, like after they maybe have been linked to him, like he's out of there, you know. Like the teams have incentives to extend their like superstars title windows, you know, or like their primes and like give them the best years possible. And a player like Bradley Beal is exactly that sort of thing that shows, you know, regardless of what his actual impact. I have my doubts too, Mike. Like I'm not sure if he's going to make a team with another star into a contender at this point in his career. But it is an organizational move to show an Embiid, a Luka. You know, not saying he'll go to Mavericks, but like that
Yeah,
you're
sure.
serious.
I get that, but like my thing is, you replace Harden with him, they're a worse team. You know,
Yeah,
I think they're a far worse team. Like amongst shooting guards, or like just wings in general, where does he fall for you guys? Where does he rank?
I mean, I'd have to think about
wings.
like a list.
Shooting
But
guards,
like,
fine, twos. Like
I'd take a lot of people over him.
I don't know if he's top like 7, like,
No, I don't think so.
and that's
Probably.
tough for all that money. Like
I don't
that's
think
my
the money
that's my
really
thing.
matters though, because like if you're one of the 3 best players on a team right now, you just pay them what you can. Like you just get them on your team. Like that's on the owners at that point.
Like, yeah, wouldn't you like put together a package of 3 of the Knicks role players to go get Bradley Beal if you're the Knicks? You wouldn't do that?
But
Yes.
this is the same issue that the Bulls made, the same problem the Bulls went into a couple years ago when they traded for Vucevic. Like, what are you building towards? Like, what are you trying to like overcome by going and getting Bradley Beal? And the Bulls got torched for it.
In the
Bulls
Bulls
got
situation,
torched
they have
for it.
nothing else to build on. Like they had Zach LaVine, and that was it.
So,
If
and
you're
we
the
got
Sixers,
DeMar,
you have Joel
like,
Embiid, and you know you're going to be in the playoffs and probably the second round.
now we're talking about the Knicks. Like now we're talking about the Knicks. So then it'd be Randall, Brunson, and Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
That does not
Probably
sound
better
like
than their team this year.
That's not sounding like a.
That's an
And
improvement.
you can't do much to the Knicks roster to make it sound like a contender. So
I'm just saying
I mean-
if they could give up like salary matching assets plus 2 first round picks, I don't know. I would do it if I was the Knicks. Why not?
2 first-round picks
It's not going to be
For-
1 first round pick.
for Bradley Beal. Guy plays 40 games a year.
he also plays for the Wizards, so there's not much urgency there.
All right.
If He doesn't want to play. They just
I don't know why they like. Again, I think they like when they signed this deal, it was more like thank you for being here. Here's a bunch of money, and we're gonna be content being. Like,
I think he averaged like 30 points
spot.
a game before it. Like
2 years before, he averaged 30 points a game. The year before they signed him, he averaged like 23, 24.
Speaking of being mid, I love how like a few weeks ago someone within the Bulls organization like leaked that they're like trying to get Vucevic back. It's like why?
It's over. Like we're finally done with this curse. Just let it go. It's dead. We're dead.
Just like more commitment to being mid. But you know, hey, new GM for the Wizards. So maybe a change of direction.
I get it on his end, right? He gets there. He's like, "Why the hell did we sign this man to this big ass deal? Like, that sucks, and that sucks to be the guy stuck with that in that position. But that's the job you signed up for, you know. Like that, you knew what the situation was when you took the job.
It happens.
Shouldn't have traded Rui, or shouldn't have let Rui go.
That was a weird one as well.
Yeah,
just like young player. Yeah, I didn't get that either. Okay. So let's talk about Chris Paul. I think there was a report that came out that the Suns are like have informed Chris Paul that he's going to be waived, but then it was sort of disputed, and it's sort of, you know, hard to tell who leaked what for what reason with this information. I think Chris Haynes was the first one that reported it, but then it was contradicted by other sources. Bottom line, Chris Paul, they're gonna either waive him or they're gonna try to find some sort of trade package for him. Which again, like sort of similar situation. Not the same like insane contract situation, but I don't know. I still think there's a market for Chris Paul.
I agree, but I don't think there's anyone in the history of basketball who maybe has worked harder just to take the bigger L's than Chris Paul has throughout his career. Like, that man has just gotten beaten down by the sport of basketball. Like, with David Stern's dying breath, he keeps him from the Lakers just for him to like just for what the heck. Obviously, the era of super team happened right after that too, you know, and it's just like, it just seems unfair the way he has been treated throughout the NBA. I don't know.
Like, where do you want to see him? Okay.
You know what would be perfect is if him and Harden ran it back in Houston. You know, I think that could be a good option.
Get Trevor Ariza back?
Yeah, why not?
That was an excellent team.
Just keep Eric Gordon around. Bring Eric Gordon back. I
think...
I don't really...
That'd be so funny if... Yeah, it'd just be like...
Clint Capella back.
Yeah. Just be Harden. Yeah, D'Antoni would have to usurp Ime Udoka for that job.
Yeah. Udoka might lose it soon anyways. His tendencies.
Yeah. I'm just like picturing Harden and Jalen Green just fighting over the basketball.
Yeah.
Like at midcourt.
Yeah, Harden is such a loser if he does this. Like, it's actually so pathetic.
I mean,
you've given up on winning. You're done. As
loves
a
Houston.
Competitor.
Guy loves Houston.
Cares? Yeah, great. Go lose.
Yeah, but
cares.
Don't you think like he should give up? Like, I don't think he's a winning.
I don't think he's not a winner, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's a winner.
Playoffs. He was like,
he's a winner.
He's not. He's never been a winner. I guess there is that. But like now,
guys aren't winners, and that's fine. Like,
yeah, he's
Charles
just quitting
Barkley
competitive
not
basketball. Is my point. Yeah.
Okay.
At least Charles Barkley tried. Harden seems about done with that. I don't know. I don't care. Good for him.
I think there's something to be said about the Celtics. Just
For Chris Paul.
thinking about it, I think like I know that there's that whole narrative last year about how they didn't have a real point guard, and like Marcus Smart was like, "Oh, well, we got to the finals." I do think that they could use like one of those guys that controls the pace a little bit, like like Chris Paul's going to be the guy that tells Tatum to go post up in the mid post and give him the ball, which they almost never did against the Heat. And like it was so effective, and like that's where he thrives, like just little stuff like that. I feel like
Jalen Brunson won't have to dribble anymore, which is huge.
Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown
Jim
won't have
Brown.
to dribble.
Yeah,
Jalen
yeah,
Brown
yeah.
won't have to dribble anymore. That's
Yeah.
massive.
No initiating for Jalen Brown.
Yeah.
Chris Paul, feels like he will have to just kind of bite a bullet and take a very small contract.
I think he will.
He
I think
wants
he'd
to
be
win.
more than willing. I think he is a guy who wants to win more than anything at this point in his career. Like I think he just wants to get over that
Celtics would be
hump no
fun.
matter what.
Bro is 38.
Like
Bro is old.
if he would have won a ring, I think he would have been retired by now. Like absolutely. Like I don't think.
What about the Lakers?
I
Get
hate
another old head in there.
No, I don't like the
Like,
fit.
it's just-
Yeah. Well, no. But
yeah.
friends.
Yeah,
LeBron
friends.
doesn't care about the GM doesn't care about fit.
About family.
Yeah.
It's about family.
It's about
I think
vibes.
Bronny Jr. getting picked at 15 is going to be fit.
Hell yeah. It's
No,
about
man.
whatever.
Paul Walker.
There was an interesting.
Family.
Oh,
About
okay.
family.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you. I think so. Bill Simmons had an interesting idea with this one, where he'd be sent to Golden State, in exchange for for Golden State to get out of that, now looking pretty bad Jordan Poole contract.
That is a tough one that no one really talks about. That's a Jordan
Yeah.
Poole contract. Not
Yeah.
great.
They have to address
It's
it
bad.
soon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really bad.
It's not good.
It's terrible.
And like, maybe he could fit next to Booker and Durant, in some capacity.
Well, I don't know what Chris Paul would do in Golden State. Like, I don't know what he's doing with the Warriors that they really need. Like, I don't know in any situation where I'd need him having the ball over Steph Curry having the ball.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, it's like a weird. I think it would be more of just like a contract play, because like his contract would be up in 2 years, right? Or right? Yeah, he's a free agent in 2025.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Curry's sneaky old though. He's 35 now. Going to be 36 soon.
Chris Paul?
Ooh.
Steph Curry.
Oh, Curry. Yeah,
sneaky
but
old.
that is sneaky old, actually. But I do see Curry. I don't know. I don't want to turn it into a full-on Warriors segment, but like that team is cooked, and we're here for it.
Yeah, your haters list. I've been thinking about mine all day.
I wrote
trying to
down
get it
a
done
list,
before-
actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did we release our hater?
Let's
I
talk
actually
about-
am. I'm gonna.
Let's talk about
I'm
a
gonna
hate
come up
list.
with a thread of
We don't have
45
to talk
tweets.
about Zion porn Stargate, honestly. Let's talk about the hate list.
Mike, do you have one?
No, you can go first. I'm gonna pull mine up.
Kind of looking to keep this up. All right, there's a couple
We can save
questionable
it for
ones.
next week too. We can save it for next
Well,
week. If we want to come on.
Fuck it, no, I'll do it. All right. First on the list is not Jimmy Butler. I just view him objectively. Second, Embiid, Kyrie, Grant Williams, Walker Kessler, DeAndre Ayton, Westbrook, Kuminga, Udonis Haslem, JaVale, Wiseman,
JaVale.
Ja. Yeah, fuck him. People thought he was good at basketball this year. It was like, what? It's JaVale McGee. That pissed me off. John Morant, Desmond Bain, Grayson Allen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Luke Kennard, Zion, Jackson Hayes, Zach Collins, Poku, Julius Randle, James Harden, Korkmaz, Caruso, Dosunmu, Pat Will, Taylor Jenkins, Corey Joseph, Myers Leonard, Joe Ingles, Trae Young,
Right.
DeJounte Murray, LaMelo
damn.
Ball,
I got
Mikal
4.
Bridges,
I have 4 on my list.
Jonathan
That's what I was
Isaac,
getting it down to.
Johnny Davis, Kristaps,
You want to explain any of
Wembanyama,
these?
Mason Plumlee, Zubac, Nurkic, Austin Reeves, Mo Bamba, Anthony Davis, D'Lo, Rodney Billups, Brett Brown, and Arnie Duncan.
Some of these are really deep cuts that people really need to know.
Who's
you to
Arnie
understand.
Duncan?
Bro,
Who that is?
it's the former department head of or he's the Secretary of Education, I think. He always played in the All-Star Celebrity Games. Thought he
Okay.
was hot shit because he always won MVP.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember
he's
that
not
guy.
like that. He never should have won.
Okay. Mike.
So number 1 on my list, the Orlando Magic front office, specifically their front office. I like their players. Don't even hate the city of Orlando. Their front office, they rock
The most hateable thing about the Magic.
the city.
The city of Orlando, yeah.
Disney World. Sorry, I've had good memories in Orlando, but the front office did terrible things to the Chicago Bulls that will never be forgotten. Number 2, New York Knicks fans. The fans of the New York Knicks. Not their team even, not even their, like James Dolan, I don't care. I love Tibbs, but their fans, I think, like I've said this before, they think that they are the hottest thing in the world and the most exciting thing in basketball. Number 3, the Utah Jazz as an organization. Everything about Utah Jazz, Salt Lake City, their colors are gross. Why is the Jazz name in Utah? They employed a sexual predator for years and years and years in Karl Malone.
I thought we were doing present day.
And an anti-vaxxer.
And,
Johnny Stocks.
Yeah.
Johnny Sticks.
And then number 4. Number 4. That's up in the air right now. Sam, I'm going to talk about yours.
Yeah. You can keep thinking about yours. I was adding some as we went along here. I had 5 to start, I think. So we got Draymond Green. We got Klay Thompson. Ready to watch
He
their
almost
era.
made my list too.
Yeah, ready to watch their era come to a close. You know, can't wait till they're getting blown out. You know,
I like
next
Draymond
year.
because he seems like kind of a cancer to them at this point.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he's like still talking all that talk, and like he's also just like not a good pundit, which is pretty funny. Like I just think he has some like pretty
He
god
thought
awful takes.
TNT thought he was like the chosen one. Like,
Yeah.
for the next one on the panel. No.
Yeah, I don't think
Rubbish.
so. I don't think he's a good pundit either. Anyway, Joel Embiid, self-explanatory. D'Lo, Wiggins. I hate the Morris twins so much.
Yeah, that one seemed harsh.
Dude, I think they're dirty. I think they're
Yep.
But that's
That's their thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, go on.
yeah. I
Nothing wrong
just
so
think
far.
they're out there to hurt people. I don't think they're very good basketball players. I don't think they provide much of anything on either side of the floor other than being
can't say they don't play hard.
relatively
Not say they don't play
large.
hard.
Sure, they play hard, but they're not very skilled, and they make up for it by elbowing
Remember how
people.
sweet they were in
and-
Kansas, though?
No, I don't. Jimmy Butler, self-explanatory. Westbrook fans. I actually don't mind Russell Westbrook.
He's
can't
laughable, too.
stand his fan base. It's so weird and delusional.
Stat merchants. Yeah.
Like these kids are like worshiping this man who is clearly on the decline, and they're
D'Lo's
like,
got some too.
he's not. Yeah, totally. Like he's like they're just not using him in the right way. Like he's like, you need to like put some respect on his name. It's like, bro, he was great on the Thunder. He was a great player. He's not anymore. It's very evident he's not been able to adapt in the way that so many veterans have been able to before him, and he's bad, and he's cancerous on a team. Desmond Bain, Taylor Jenkins.
That.
I'm lumping together Warriors fans and Lakers fans. I think there is some crossover there.
Probably.
Just because, it's just mostly just
conundrum this year,
yeah, casuals. And I just think that both of those fan bases are so entitled to, and think that like all this stuff is just going to be handed to them. So annoying. And then these last two will hopefully be subject to change, but fuck Tim Conley, you fucked up my team, you motherfucker. Like, I hate you. and Rudy Gobert, dude. But get Biyombo, okay? Like, you better have a better year next year. I'm gonna cry.
Harsh but fair.
I got my last one. I don't know how I feel. Grayson Allen. That fucking.
He was on my list. Yeah.
That guy is the worst.
You loved him in college.
No.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
No.
Yeah.
Me? No. I
Cunt
don't even know where you went to college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same place as Kyrie.
Doot University.
He played 7 games.
I liked your inclusion of Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, what a shit. He should be on everyone's list.
Did you guys see that?
He's a bad guy. He is a bad guy.
Yeah,
he's like his anti-woke something line.
Anti-woke like clothing. It's like, how can clothing be what is anti-woke clothing, bro? And it's like, and then did you see someone responded to one of his tweets, and it was like, it's some white lady, and she's like, I don't usually like your kind, but like you're doing some like some good stuff here. And
he says, thank you, sister.
Yeah, and he quote tweeted it with that meme of Jimmy Butler like looking at the stat sheet, like, you know that one. It's like,
you think he's talking to when he does this? Like, this is so obvious.
I know. I was like, come on, bro. Like, this is what you got yourself into. Like,
Myers Leonard, forgot him.
He was on my list.
Forgot about him. Yeah.
Mo Bamba.
Bro, he didn't know.
Punk.
That's a crazy claim, dude. Also, actually, never mind. I want to talk about how I actually taught a bunch of kids that word on accident.
Oh, right, yeah. Let's
definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was a good hating segment. We had some hate in our hearts.
That was hating hours.
Can I be honest here? I'm thinking about pulling a U-turn with Trae Young. The hate's gotten too much. I might be a Trae Young guy now.
He's just not very good. Like, I don't know.
No, yeah, everyone's coming after him. This is when we heal.
Ike says it's gone too far.
When Ike takes a knee, I stand with Trae.
I think you're right, Ike. I think he's gotten.
I think his delusion is funny.
I think he's gotten to the point where he's become underrated because everyone thinks he's awful. Like, NBA players think he's awful. Media thinks he's awful. Like,
it's not his fault though. Like, none of this is his fault. He's been the same guy since Oklahoma. Like, he wasn't like crazy good. He just got drafted too high in front of Luka Doncic, and that's really unfortunate.
I mean, he was pretty good in college. He was like,
he didn't shoot like crazy.
He was like
I
thought he was like college player.
I think that like conference finals run will forever like be this thing, that people like bring up with him and be like, well, actually, people respect him because of this. When he was like, that was
he averaged
very fluky.
He averaged like,
I don't know,
25 points on 40% shooting. Like,
He loves stats. Let's say that. Another stat
I
merchant.
don't know.
But...
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
All right, before we get out of here, uh, quick hit predictions on the John Morant suspension.
That's how it is. Anyway, he's not out for the year.
How many games?
You think he's out for the year?
I think he's out for the year. I think they're going to sit him. I think the rules are come down and say he's out for the year. I don't know how many opportunities they're going to give him to just kind of chill out.
Okay.
And I think and when it becomes the NBA's firm decision, I think Adam Silver is going to take a very affirmative stance that he's a bad role model for the kids, and they're going to sit him for the
Do you want to
entirety of the
speculate
season.
on what else do you think the NBA uncovered that they're hiding? Get some blind speculation going.
He claimed that it's a toy gun.
Not like, yeah.
Josh said that?
His camp did, yeah.
His camp said that.
Well, yeah, what? Okay. Yeah, fuck off.
I think it's got to be pretty bad, to just not come out and say it, right? Like the other stuff, it's got to be pretty rough.
It can't be good information that was uncovered, right?
I feel like it would have to be worse, right?
It
No, yeah, he's like
good.
this. He called it pretty serious stuff or whatever.
Right.
He took that gun off of a 12-year-old in the streets.
He stole that gun. It's not even his.
Yeah.
I do love the take where people are like, "Well, he committed no crime. He's in Memphis. This is God-given right."
Yeah, no, but that is a point, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not like he's going to jail.
The NRA is dead silent on this. Of course, but
Spencer Hawes
seems like
guns.
down their alley.
Okay,
the
NRA hates black.
How many games? Sorry. I'm writing them down.
40.
40.
Nope.
Okay.
40. 35.
35. Okay.
82.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go 25. I'm pretty sure they gave Miles Bridges 30. And
he is a repeat offender at this point.
That's true. That's true. But that
and the NBA cares about. Never mind.
Guys, how about closest to the right answer gets a gun? Damn.
I already have my gun that came with my Jaw ones. The loaded gun
pistol. It's a toy.
Okay. Anything else? Should we wrap it up?
Now that it's off season, it's time for us to get back into Ike's favorite Ike's autism episodes, which we're all super excited for.
Hell yeah, I'm excited. I am excited for off season content. We're gonna have some sort of draft show next week. I'm saying it now.
Ooh.
Is it gonna be live?
No, but
live show.
I'm thinking about getting an analyst on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, maybe a little guest analyst.
Is he gonna have to answer for Max, the Juice Struess?
I think he will have to answer for Mr. Max Struess. He is of his camp. but yeah. Should we wrap it up?
Good things about Scoot. Mike, you got something?
No.
You just put your finger up.
That's to wrap it up.
Well, going into the off season, I think maybe we should switch it up. I don't know, the whole wrapping it up thing. Trying to figure how we might do that. Like, something relating to the finals. Fuck. Let's wrap this one up. This episode has gone longer than the entire NBA Finals. Lasted longer than the entire NBA Finals. 5 games. Jimmy Butler. Let me just get a few more words on him. Jimmy Buckets. More like Jimmy Puppet, the way Jokic has his arm up his ass. Yeah. Jimmy. I sure hope Jokic and Murray wore jimmies before they fucked the Heat's face, right? 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 Or if it's not the face, I really hope they didn't fuck raw. Fucking in heat with no condom is how you end up with a situation like Zion.
There you go.
Or
why the buddy pregnant?
Or Karl Malone.
Oh.
No, okay.
You know, fucking
still going.
Fucking in heat with no condom can ruin your career. Just ask Alex Morgan.
Wow. All right. Switching it up now.
Fucking in heat with no condom is how you end up with the Jimmy Butler.
You saying he's an accident?
Oh.
His dad didn't want him.
Yeah, I can see why
yeah.
Michael Jordan didn't want his ass.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Let's wrap this shit up like Jokic, the Nuggets did. Jimmy Butler was the 5th best player in that series. Jimmy Butler. I just don't get, like, is he old? Like, could he not last the entire playoffs now? Is it an age thing? He's never been good in the finals.
Like, he hurt you, we get it. It's okay.
Well, let's hope he doesn't wrap it up this offseason, after losing in his second finals.
Cut it.
Okay.